So I recently went to Charleston, South Carolina, and man, their food is no joke. That southern cuisine is so delicious. Traveled back up to the north, back home, and I thought, I think it's time I whip up some southern food on this channel. Then I was like, where should I start? And after thinking about it, I certainly answered that question. I'm starting with shrimp and grits. Let's turn up the heat. Roll it. Starting with these grits, I'm using white corn. There's also yellow corn grits. Those ones typically have a little more starch. These ones tend to have a little more natural sugar. The flavor could vary just slightly. You're most likely not going to be able to tell the difference. You want to start with these grits pretty much right away because these need to soak for quite a while. You don't necessarily have to, but soaking them gives that corn just a little extra time to kind of soak up a little bit of water, open up, and it's going to cook nicer, more even. You want to treat these like a little baby. You want to be gentle, take your time, you know. It's food. You gotta treat it with love. I'm going in with 3.5 cups of water directly into my 1 cup of corn grits. If you soaked them, great. If not, doesn't really matter. Honestly, if I were you, I probably wouldn't soak them. Might have been soaking for around 6 hours, so let me show you what to do. So all this stuff floating on top, these are hulls and pieces of corn that you don't necessarily want. You want to carefully skim these off the top without trying to disturb the ones on the bottom. That's all the good stuff that's going to make these corn grits smack. Once your grits are quote unquote clean, go ahead, transfer them into the pot that you're going to be cooking them in. Make sure you get every single grit out of this pot. Transfer these to your heat source. Turn this on high heat. Once it begins to boil, kill the heat and cover this for 10 minutes. I told you we're treating these corn grits like a baby. You soak them, get them warm, cover them up, let them relax. After they relax for about 10 minutes, go in with 1 bay leaf. I like to kind of rip it, bring out some of that flavor, crush it down a bit, and add this directly to your pot. Now that this is uncovered, turn the heat back on as low as it can go. We're going low and slow. Typically you hear like smoking or meats being cooked low and slow. These grits need about an hour on really low heat at just a slight simmer. Every once in a while you see little bubbles come up. That's what you're looking for. Just constantly go in stirring because as soon as it scorches, you're done. There's no going back. You don't want this burning, you don't want it scorching. It will if the heat's too high. Don't do it. Low and slow. The grits are that long, tedious part, but as you're working those, constantly stirring, now you can start the fun part. There's 3 things you need to cut up. The first is bacon. Dice these up into 1/4-inch pieces. Next are the mushrooms. Just a plain white button. And lastly, some scallions. Now we're going to be bringing in seasoned flour, salt, pepper, and the shrimp. You're just going to be doing a quick dusting of flour on these shrimp. This flour is going to act as that roux. Take a shrimp, drop them in. Nice little layer, not too much. Just so he's coated. Go ahead, do this with the rest of them. Now comes the cooking. Pan on medium heat. Add your bacon. And to speed this process up of rendering this fat out, just add about a teaspoon of oil. Take your time, spread out each piece of bacon. Make sure each one is rendering fat and getting nice and crispy. I mainly want this bacon to transfer that really nice hardwood, smoky aroma to this shrimp. Getting this fat out is the best way to do that. It's kind of an ingredient that it's like, if it's in there, kind of just makes everything around it better. Go ahead and move all the bacon to one side in the pan. Take your beautiful little shrimpers, toss them in. After a couple minutes, go ahead, flip these shrimp. They should start to get some nice color on the bottom. Once they're all flipped, add your mushrooms. Once you add your mushrooms, you can kind of toss these around a bit. Incorporate that bacon. Now all this beautiful fond is on this pan. And now you know, in order to get that off, you need to deglaze. So we're going to be adding a half cup of stock. Each layer builds upon itself throughout cooking. One pan, every ingredient has a function. Bacon, render the fat. Flour makes the roux. Stock gets it thickened. If you really think about it, it's honestly just like a science. And it just simply makes sense. Now as this starts to simmer, it's going to start thickening, and you want to reduce this by about half. At this point, toss in some salt and some pepper. Drop in 2 tablespoons of butter. Add your scallions. And I always like to top things with a nice squeeze of lemon juice. And right here is your finished product. Just classic Southern comfort. And now let's finish those grits and get this in my belly. You know your grits are ready once you push it off the side and clear that bottom space, and it slowly fills in the gap. They're perfect. Find your bay leaf. Get that out of there. And now your grits are ready to be seasoned and flavored. Hit them with some salt, not too much, but certainly necessary. Just a dash of white pepper. 2 tablespoons of butter. A little dash of hot sauce. Changes the color slightly, just changes that white color to a nice kind of golden hue. If you had yellow grits, you wouldn't even see the color change at all. And finally, a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. And just like that, perfectly cooked grits. Now, it's time we plate. Throw your grits directly into the center of the plate. Spread this around. Make sure you coat the bottom. Now that you got that well completely full, you know what's going right there. And that's this beautiful shrimp. Top this off with some scallions. And wow, you got yourself right here amazing shrimp and grits. I mean, you know what it looks like. I'll go in for a nice bite here. Double down on the shrimp we'll get to. Look at that bite. Oh yeah, so good. Delicious. Those grits are well balanced. They're so soft and tender. You don't get individual little kernels. It's all just kind of one now. It's not like you saw how coarse it was. It's not coarse anymore. It's just they've soaked up all that water, all that flavor. That shrimp, so good. It's saucy, salty, smoky. It's delicious. Give this a try. It looks good. It tastes good. In my book, that's all that kind of counts. If you enjoy this video and you want to see some more Southern cuisine, smash the thumbs up button, smash that subscribe button, and until next time, peace.